What's going on YouTube? AlphonZeus up Team Gradelock here with another episode of Unlocking Your Week, episode 76. We're going to start things off with the local results that happened at Game On this past weekend for both Cardfight Vanguard and Future Card Buddyfight. And then we're going to be taking a look at the week in terms of video content for you. And finally, we will conclude this episode with a short episode review of what's happening in Ride 203 or G Turn 7. So going into the local results, I already posted up pretty much just summary statuses on the Team Gradelock Facebook page. I'll provide a link in the description down below so you guys can check that out. Going into round 1 for the Cardfight Vanguard tournament, it was 14 players, so $70 of store credit goes to 5 booster packs to the top 4 players. And going into round 1, it's pretty much a rematch from Shane from last week. He was running the Novell Break Ride. We had a pretty intense 3 games. Game 1, he got the Novell Break Ride, and I wasn't able to guard because I didn't have another perfect guard in order to survive. And then by the time I hit Game 2, he actually got Gradelocked at 2 for at least 2 turns. And I was able to really put on pressure with Kaiser, and especially with my rear guard attack swinging for 19k, because he was only able to ride the damage on Flipper, which is unfortunately a 9k, so it's a 15k block on almost all 3 attacks. And going into Game 3, I pretty much had to go all out. With him going in Novell and I was going in with Great Kaiser, I was able to pull off 2 turns straight with triple drive checks. Although I wasn't able to deal any damage on both those drive checks, as the first one happened to be because I had to get like at least 2 grade 3s and a trigger in order to get past that amount of shield. He definitely saved up a lot of his hand. He also managed to do Novell limit break to retire my field, although I only had 3 units on the field at a time because I was just anticipating that, alright, I have units to replace the field with, so after he does the limit break skill, I don't have to worry too much afterwards. I just want to at least have a minimum of 3 units on the field, 1 to boost the Vanguard booster, so he won't drop that 10k to the pass, because, you know, Kaiser will only be swinging for 11, 13k by itself. And I have 2 rear guards at least hitting 11 or 12k, you know, even though I'd rather have, you know, maybe the 12k's in my hand after the mass retire skill. And I managed to do 2 triple twin drives in 2 turns straight and pretty much got rid of his hand quite a bit. I managed to at least get a lot of value out of the triggers. I know I got at least a draw trigger or a heal trigger on either one of those checks, and that really saved me getting like another cushion damage, and I don't even have to mind if, you know, it was a trigger because I still have cards in my hand to guard the rest of the attacks with. So going into round 2, I went up against Frank, and he was running Genesis build. It was with Brunhild actually. So to sum up what happened in those 2 games, he actually 2-0'd me pretty badly. Game 1, I was Gradelocked at 1 for 2-3 turns. I wasn't able to do any shenanigans. I should have been able to just take damage early and then go into the shenanigans, you know, the Goyusha Superior into Kaiser, call Shadow Kaiser, count boss 1, go into Great Kaiser, and then swing in for some insane amount, and also Soul Blast so I can make sure that I can at least get a really strong Vanguard attack in, and not only that, but also get have a higher chance of getting triggers or even just getting criticals on top of criticals per game. So going into the second game, I managed to go all out with the Great Kaiser Break Ride into Cross Break Ride. So I got a triple twin drive, and he pretty much put down, I need a grade 3, so at least a perfect guard, and then he did a pretty much a 2 to pass or a 2 grade 3s at least, but I got only 2 triggers, a heal and a draw. And by the time he went to his turn, he actually managed to do the Brunhild Break Ride. So he drew 2 off the Break Ride from Angelica, and then utilized the Ultimate Break, where he actually retired 3 of my units and he drew 3 cards, pretty much replenishing whatever cards he guarded for that major Kaiser attack. And even though I was able to do a second triple twin drive afterwards, he still was more than happy to just guard all that, and including the 12k attacker that I managed to get at least 1 trigger on. So good on him to see that Brunhild really kicked my ass, and I should probably not be putting him at Ultimate Break as a reminder for next time especially. So going into round 3, I actually went up against Justin. He was running Tachikaze's, the Ancient Dragon build. And I managed to 2-0 him because I was able to keep my hand replenished and have the perfect guards when necessary, because he actually used Tyranno Legend both times, and in both times I think he used it. Game one he used it twice, where he actually retired 3 of his rear guards to get 10k in the critical. Perfect guard that, and then when he tried to do it again, I had that second perfect guard in hand just to make sure, oh, I don't have to worry too much about it, I'm good. And then when I go into game two, I pretty much had the control with the cross ride defense of Great Kaiser and really starting to get ready for just, I'm going to just pop these perfect guards and just get it over with. But in all seriousness, the match was actually pretty good. We both got our fair share of triggers. I was only able to attribute both of those wins by getting a timely heal trigger when I needed it the most, because I can at least utilize, another triple drive check, etc. Going into this round, Tachikaze can be very surprising. I was surprised that he didn't tech in a Dark Rex, because I've seen the Ancient Dragon Break Ride with the Dark Rex combo, and what said you can just draw upon draw and get all these crits on Vanguard swings, so you have to drop at least 2 perfect guards if you want to, live and not take 2 damage, especially when you're at the limit break level. Going into my final round in round 4, I went up against Burns, and he was running the duos of the Riviere Triangle, and I guess I already spoiled it, whatever the Facebook says I put up, but it was a very intense 3 games. The game 1, it really came down to it, because he was on the verge of doing another rate restand. He just finished off his break ride restand combo and had a couple of a pretty sizable hand, at least 8 cards, and so I had to pretty much go all out on it and just say, all right, I might as well utilize the cards I'm soul blasting, because I got that 3k in to hit for 31k with a critical triple drive check, and grade 3 I pop a guardian unit. So he ended up dropping perfect guard and at least 30k shield, whatnot, in order to try and survive. I needed 2 grade 3s and a trigger to pass. My first check was a grade 3, so I popped the perfect guard. Just like, alright. And then next, I got a critical trigger, so I put all effects on the Vanguard. I actually put the power on the Vanguard and the critical on the rear guard, just in case if it didn't go through. And on the third check, I got the grade 3, which popped his 10k shield, dropping his 41k shield to a 31, which actually, no, a 46k shield down to 36. And since I put the 5k from the critical trigger on the Vanguard, 36 meets 36, so the attack goes through and he does take 2 damage off of it. In game 2, it was just as intense, and visibly I saw him, like, he looked sad as hell. I was like, oh fuck, right? I know that when I go into the cross break ride, I know it's going to be an all-in attempt to try and end the game, but I had to try and go for it again. But on that cross break ride, where I managed to pop the perfect guard yet again, he got the 6 damage heal trigger, and I was unable to really survive the onslaught from Raid when he went into the break ride and restand combo. And the thing is, going into game 3, now I'm saying, alright, now this is a war now. We ended up giving it to 5-4 damage, and I was thinking, alright, I can't let him reach the limit break just yet. And he ended up in a heal trigger off of it, and I was only at 3 damage, because we both want to see what would happen on the cross break ride turn. And I had to think, alright, maybe I should have not put him at that 4 damage, because I was actually at 5, and I actually got a double heal off of that twin drive, because I did the Kaiser break ride, and I actually went down to 3. I was like, alright, okay, something's really bad now, because Burns was at 2. So after the crazy heal battle where pretty much the fight went backwards, I let the 2 damage so I can try and get another triple twin drive in, but I really didn't anticipate not getting at least a double critical on it to put him at 5 or even 6 damage per game. If anything, I should have just blocked those attacks, so that when I did put him at the break right turn, I would have allowed a hell of a lot more attacks in. So that was my misplay, and I ended up losing it, and therefore the Emperor of Kaiser, Great Kaiser, fell to the lullaby of the duos of the Riviere Triangle. It was a good match overall. I wish I did win that one if I just didn't, if I just guarded earlier. So mad props to Burns for winning it, and I ended up going 2-2. I broke even. Going into the top 4 for the tournament itself, we had Rob M with the Genesis, his own Yggdrasil build, pretty much sticking with the Regalia, Legion of both Yggdrasil and Nyx. That's the 5k and a critical Legion skill. And then we had Alex with the Abyss Revengers, we had CK with Omega Glendios, and we had Ian with the duos of the Riviere Triangle. So it's good to see that both the top two limit break decks in the meta, especially in terms of popularity for both Omega Glendios and the duos, and seeing the top two Legion decks that we've seen in the form of Genesis, Yggdrasil, Regalia, and the Abyss Revengers of Shadow Paladins. Kind of a good representative of what the meta looks like as of right now before set 16 launches in. And boy oh boy, Team Gradelock, I know there are a couple of our members that really want to go in on set 16 version E. The only thing is, I'm more of a Dimension Police guy, and I'm actually starting to build Musketeers, so fortunately I won't get that until set 17 when the rest of the set comes out. But it's good that they're actually packaging in one whole season into just two separate sets, and it's kind of nice that Bushiroad is doing this, although we can probably use maybe a give or take of a clan or so, because still main clans are still getting support in both sets, and some of the other clans like Deep Police, Neo Nectar, Spike Bros, they're only getting support in just one set. But it's okay. We don't have to worry too much about it. At least every clan will at least have some form of Legion. I don't think Nubatama has a Legion yet, but at least with the promo for the Legion campaign that came out, we do have some of the other decks, Angel Feathers, Murakumos, Great Nature, Mega Colony, Royal Paladins, and I think the sixth one was Angel Feather, unless I said that already. But anyways, this is the dawn of the Legion format. I know the previous Legions that we've had from Brawl, the first wave of Brawlers, the first wave of Seekers, they're all right. And then we have the Legion campaign, and then the extra booster support, which really turns heads quite a bit. And now set 16, when the real tidal wave of Legion units would come in. And I gotta say, Sing Saber Dragon is probably gonna sit pretty nicely at the #1 spot. At least, not sure how they're gonna edge out the Shadow Paladins or Genesis Yggdrasil, but whatever the case may be, it's like whoever can get their stuff done first, for lack of a better term. Whoever can get their requirements needed first, okay, boom, go for it and see what happens. And hopefully you have some resources to guard the next turn when they blow up in your face or something. Then we actually had the Buddyfight tournament later on. We had about 7-8 people. I went with the Gorgon waifus of Legend World. I still wasn't performing really well with them. First round, I went up against Justin. This was a different Justin now. He was running Seeger of Ancient World, and I literally got stomped on. I couldn't find a way to get out, and the crazy part was he was actually, he was running Ultimate Buddy, which put his power levels up 12k, 17k with 2 of them in the soul. And technically, with the ruling that I've seen, is that it actually survives Great Spell Ragnarok, because the spell Ultimate Buddy, that is the one that gives Seeger the Soul Guards. The Soul Guard Seeger that he has, that's his own skill. So when Great Spell Ragnarok is played, you get to just detach one of the Ultimate Buddies to save Seeger on the field, and everything else gets discarded or, sent away, if it's not nullified, of course. And even though I sided in 7 different cards as hate cards against this massive dragon of a monster, 2 Beowulfs, 2 of the Dragon Vanquishing Swords, and 3 Valkyries, just so I can try and get some soul out of there and have him take the 5 lifelink damage. It was just, murder to the highest degree. I felt kind of helpless, to be honest, when I was going up against that. Going up against round 2, I actually got the bye, and then round 3, it was already down to top 2. I think there were only like 7 or 8 people that entered, so it was a 3 rounds of switch with a top 2 cut. And even though Burns and I went out topping, we ended up spending the rest of the tournament just playtesting. I know that Burns was practicing Jackknife. He was practicing a matchup against Dragon Ball, because I know that during the tournament, both CK and Burns, they were actually having help from Arturo. Because Arturo, he was doing a lot of work to prepare up for the world stage to see how he can go up against the opponent from Europe and the opponent from Asia, and see what he can do. And I'm looking forward to it very much. And he's actually offering coach advice on both sides. So, sometimes for the Jackknife player, it's a little bit simple, but for the Dungeon World player, it can get really tricky, because he says that it's literally one of the best decks because of recycles. It's very consistent. it has so much potential for OTKs and saving your life that it can just overwhelm the opponent, especially you know, especially if they're also running a rush deck, because Dungeon World can rush like no other. But that rushdown comes at a price, as we unfortunately have to say, okay, Dungeon World, you have penetrate and no damage and save yourself from impacts, but still, we would like you to have a little bit of a luck factor in the RPG element sort of thing. So, when you have Drum Bunker Dragon, you can play Rock, Paper, Scissors, Shoe, oh, it can gain penetrate for that turn. Or you get Dangerous Fuse where you either add 2 cards to your hand from the top of your deck, or you just gains 2. And then you even have the Mimics where you can mill if you get a spell, it's nothing. If it's a monster, you burn for 1. And Glory Seeker where if you mill, you get a monster, you lose. You get a spell, you put back at 3. So, seeing that handicap on it makes Dungeon World a little bit more balanced in that way. Even though that sometimes it can either get really sacky, or just really sacky for you. So, moving on to the top 2. We had CK with Arturo's Dungeon World hybrid build just to kind of test out how the deck plays out. And then we have Dex coming in with Destruction Dragons of Dragon World, utilizing some of the Thunder Knights as well as Gargantua Blade Dragon for board control. He's actually part of the Facebook group. If you don't see some of his posts, he actually puts up a pretty big post of his tournament results that he performed with it. He also includes a complete deck list of all the cards that he has in his deck. So if you have any questions for him, you can feel free to comment on his post or even PM him about it. So moving into the next week, I guess, for video content, we have a few videos for you. One, we have a CEO Yggdrasil deck for Jason. It's going to be a Regalia deck. It's not your typical Legion-only Regalia deck that features Nyx and CEO Yggdrasil. He's been studying the deck for the past few months, and he ends up trying to tweak the deck either way just to see if it can help him either reach more numbers or just have more cards in the Soul to Soul Blast with. So we have a deck profile for you up on Tuesday. For Wednesday, I'm going to be heading the game on so you can get a best 2 out of 3 match between the 2 decks that have rocked the format in the forms of both the Abyss Revenger of Shadow Paladin as well as the Regalias of Genesis, of course, headed by the CEO of Yggdrasil. And both of those decks have done pretty well. Getting the results from, of course, ARG Chicago, we saw Robbie Cole take it with the Abyss Revengers with Wardred Phantom as the break ride into Legion. And then for ARG Atlanta, which took place this weekend, we actually had CEO Yggdrasil take the top spot. So seeing both those decks going 1 for 1 at a regional win for ARG, now let's see how they perform at a local. And both Alex and Jason are very passionate about their clans, Shadow Paladins and Genesis. So I'd really like to see them just go, at least for the subscribers, just 1 match, best 2 out of 3, and see what happens. Then on Thursday, I'll also be recording on Wednesday, the same day, to get Alex's deck profile, so I can just make sure I have that recorded. I should have you up by that Thursday night. And then Saturday, we look forward to the sneak preview event for set 16, just the first booster set that will focus around Legion, that will not only include cards and themes and clans from set 16, set 17, and the movie booster. It also excludes some of the cards from set 16 in Japan and puts them into set 17. So we'll have some pack openings for you then. And if we do have a draft tournament, I would actually see if we can try and record a draft tournament. That's okay, with permission, I guess, of everyone that participates. It's a big project, so we'll see what we can do later on. Now, after that's done, going into the episode breakdown. Spoiler alert, you haven't seen the episode yet, you can pause the video, go watch the episode, come back right here so we can talk about it a little bit. Or if not, you can close out the video and be on your merry way. So Ride 203 or G Turn 7 Shion's Pride. We get to see the competitive rivalry between Chrono and Shion evolve in a way that we haven't seen before. Because before, we've only seen them to go through quests and just compete with each other in card fights. But now it takes on a grander scale as it involves other people, even though the rivalry is just between them two. And starting out the episode with them just washing windows is just okay. It's kind of an interesting small way to see who would be the better window washer. With Tokaha and Kumi recognizing that, it seems like they were trying to vie for their affections, or at least that's the fanboy in me screaming out inside. And moving into probably one of the hype events that I've seen. I've never seen in the regular Cardfight series an event like this before, and maybe I was born 100 years too early. But seeing the hype for what the Dragon Empire part of Japan is hosting is pretty freaking awesome. Having a quiz event show happen. It involves a guess the card, a scavenger hunt, and a true or false obstacle course of death actually take place in the same day. That is pretty awesome, and I hoped and I wished that this would happen earlier in the series, but I guess they're just throwing it out there now just to say, well, this is a completely different environment now. 2 years really did change a lot, and it really did, even in Team Gradelock standards. So moving into the main event, the guess the card challenge was actually pretty cool because you can throw back to units like King of Knights Alfred, Top Idol Riviere, and of course giving a throwback to the Dragonic Overlord the Great, and then you even have a throwback when Shion would dominate the round, ending it with the most badass way to say a name, Hey Yo Pineapple. And at that moment, everyone else was trying to let me get that. That can't be Hey Yo Pineapple, and it is. Moving into the scavenger hunt after Shion thoroughly dominated that round, we get to see. Okay, we're gonna search up for some items, and the most awkward part of that one was having not Shion, Chrono meet a cosplayer with Demon World Marquis Amon, and it seems like they were having a love at first sight thing. At least that's what I've seen in the episode and what they made it out to be. So I thought that was very awkward in a way, but still, he got through the challenge all right, and he was more dominant than ever, especially when he noticed that Shion was still getting overcrowded by all the females trying to say, here, borrow my card. And, it's kind of hard to try and get to a scavenger hunt when you have all these fans that want to help you out, but it's too much. Just like, oh, I just need one. That's okay. And then they argue with each other. But the face of the episode that Chrono makes, just of the sheer determination. And as I posted on the Facebook page, it's actually the face of determination that I'll make. So he just grabs on to his, little handle as he pushes in on a car, one of the items, and he's like, I'm gonna win this thing. I can see it. It's like internally screaming inside, even though you see he's panting. But the thing is, he soundly takes round 2 with all of the items that you see. By the time the time limit's over, you see a shirt, a clock, I don't know, you see all these other items that are not Vanguard cards. But he pulled it off anyways. Then you go into the main event, which is the obstacle course of death. And obstacle course of death, because people can get seriously injured in this thing. I'm thankful that the kid that actually didn't make it, that was actually run over by the Legion of Fangirls for Shion, didn't partake in this event because he would have really broke something if he went through that obstacle course. And, it's going across the swings and then some of them falling, and then you have the stepping stones in chocolate pudding, as I like to call it. Because if you fall, it's like quicksand in a way. So it's a very comical and scary way to die. And seeing how at that point, when Shion fell in thanks to the shenanigans of Sneto Taro, people are asking, alright, here, you can forfeit, we'll help you out. But Shion never gave up. He actually went through with struggle and got out of the pool and continued on. And after that, you then get to the rock climb, or even the two people that went ahead of Chrono and Shion, they kind of fell off, because of course, plot armor. So seeing them compete and they try and go up, and then you get to see the flashback, or you remember the flashback that Shion had of how he became who he is today. And that was through the fencing practice that he had with his mentor or father. And seeing that how he said the inspiring words of, look, you can always have tomorrow. You fail today, you can try tomorrow. If you fail tomorrow, there will always be the day after, the day after. Of course, you can die, but still, that's another chance. You have another chance to look forward to. And that, in turn, helps inspire Shion to actually win that one round out of sheer concentration and focus that, I don't want to lose anymore. I'll be willing to fail, but I will win one day. And he did in that one day. So, as you get to see them climb to the top, Shion all of a sudden loses footing, and the surprising move, Chrono grabs his arm, and people are like, whoa, what a moving event. And these guys are supposed to be rivals. Pulls him up, even though Shion was like, no man, you're not supposed to do that. Why are you doing this? You're my rival. And say nope, it's not over yet. I don't want to beat you like this. I'm going to beat you like this. And they both go for it. The true and false question was, the generation zone is where your G units go. Of course, that's a yes, so both of them go towards that. They both hit at the same time, but by the photo, we see Shion take it by a fingertip. And seeing that happen, he wins and inspires a kid, that same kid that got run over, to not give up on himself either. And we conclude the episode with pretty much Chrono thinking that he already knew this ahead of time and he wouldn't mind losing out just to inspire that kid a little bit further. So a little bit of a white lie, but I don't know, that's my only speculation. He probably still wanted to win it anyways. So that was a really touching way to end the episode and kind of inspiring to me as well to not give up and continue moving forward. I like how Cardfight Vanguard can really take some of the lessons that we should have learned in high school, grade school, whatever, and repackage them for college life and post-college life. So that'll be it for the episode breakdown, or at least the episode review. If you like to see shorter reviews, feel free to comment down below, get conversation started. But that's it for me. My name is AlphonZeus. I hope that you've enjoyed the week that I've unlocked for you, and I will see you guys later. Take care.